Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Hart, and today I'll be breaking down the 4-game NBA slates we have here for Thursday night on DraftKings. $100,000 up top to first place per usual. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. I'll be going over my favorite spin-up plays, mid-range plays, and the best value plays to be looking at for tomorrow night's slate. So once again, hit the like button. Now let's get into the slate breakdown. 4-game slate. We're starting off with Dallas and Washington. We can kind of breathe. We don't have a 10, 12, 13 game slate where there's just a bunch of news of, starters being out for no reason, having to rush to pick, the best core plays, best value plays. So 4-game slate, we can breathe, breathe in, breathe out. It's going to be a lot better of a slate tomorrow night than it was tonight. So starting off, we have Dallas and Washington. Before, just want to say Jokic, really. Low ownership, on pace for 40 fantasy points in the first half. 3 fouls in the first quarter, picks up his 4th right as he checks in for the second quarter, picks up his 5th right as he starts the third quarter. Really. But yeah, Dallas and Washington. I was super frustrated that they moved this game off the main slate because I was super high on Dinwiddie. He would have picked up a little bit of ownership, but with all the value plays opening up on tonight's slate, do think that would have dropped down. But he did fantastic against Orlando, but we'll get to that. Luka, 12-5, a little bit of a disappointing game. Still got you 51.5 fantasy points, so we know what we're getting from Luka. 12-5, it just might be a little too expensive to get to on the slate. So if you can, make it work, don't mind getting to him. Obviously, we know what we're going to get from him, probably 50-plus fantasy points, even if he has a terrible game. But, excuse me, it's just coming down to if you can fit him in. Wood is still out, so Dinwiddie is going to be that secondary scorer for them. 6,200 looks fantastic. Coming off a game tonight where he went 9 of 19, 4 of 10 from 3, 29 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, 2 steals, 49 fantasy points. So obviously played fantastic. Got to the free throw line 8 times. He's a guy who can get to the free throw line a good amount, but yeah, 6,200 secondary scorer. Not much else to say. Looks fantastic. Going to be pretty popular. I think Luka is maybe going to be like 20% at most. I'd say even closer to make maybe 15, 12, 10 when it comes to ownership. Dinwiddie, I'm assuming is going to be floating around that 20%, maybe a little bit more. Everyone's obviously going to chase that back score. So I think it's just one of those things you have to bite the bullet there and play them just because they need a secondary scorer. And most likely it's going to be Dinwiddie, especially at that price. Powell, don't know why he's priced up. Going to be playing about 20 minutes. Just don't play him there. Same thing with McGee. Losing minutes to Powell. They're splitting the minutes at center. They're not playing either one of them very much. So at their price tags, I don't know why they're priced up that high. Don't go there. DFS, his minutes are safe. It's just he hasn't been very productive this year at all. Don't mind him if you want to go to him at 4,200. Obviously he's going to get you about 30+ minutes. Just comes down to if he's hitting his threes. If he is, he can go out there and get you 25, fantasy points. It's kind of pushing it if you want him to get more than that, maybe close to 30. That's kind of his max game right now, his ceiling game. But at 4,200, I don't mind taking that shot, especially in this matchup against Washington. A little bit easier of a matchup going against them than it was Orlando and all their tall guys. Hardaway Jr., I love him. I think he's my favorite, value play alongside Will Barton. He's going to come off the bench, should play 20 minutes. Will get extended if he's playing well. He's just super boomer bust because he's one of those scorers. He's like a Terrence Ross, Will Barton. He's one of those guys who's going to come off the bench. And if he's hitting the shots, he's going to get extended. If not, he's going to go out there and, throw up 7, 15, 14 fantasy points. But in the spot against Washington, 4,000, really like him as a bounce back. Coming off a bad game against Orlando. Josh Green looks okay, should see about 20 minutes, gets extended if he's playing better. If not, he should see maybe 15. So he looks decent, 3,600. Been solid in the minutes so far. If you want to go to him for some value, I don't mind it, but don't love it either. I'd prefer maybe getting Reggie Bullock over Green just because, Reggie Bullock, the minutes are a little bit safer. Will get extended if he's playing well. Hasn't been god-awful this year when it comes to three-point shooting. That's the only thing he's good at. I guess he's an okay defender. But yeah, don't mind taking a dart throw here. Hope he has a bounce-back game, even though he really hasn't had one this year at all. But yeah, he looks gross. but you have to kind of do it on the slate if you want to get up to a guy like Luka. Kleber, I think he's my favorite play when it comes to like those cheaper, power forward centers on the Mavs, just because, he should see about 30 minutes. Pretty solid 3-point shooter. He's kind of like a DFS play. If they're hitting the threes, they're going to get you a few rebounds, could get you 15, 20, 25 fantasy points if they're doing solid. But yeah, I think he's my favorite play, going to end up closing the game over guys like Powell and McGee. So Kleber looks solid there. That really does it for the Dallas side. Washington, I love Porzingis and Kuzma. I think their price tags are going to scare people away. Revenge game for Porzingis, should see 30+ minutes. A little bit foul prone, but, going against those Mavs bigs, don't really think there should be any foul trouble for him. So yeah, love Porzingis. As we saw last year when guys were like Beal or Dinwiddie were out, Porzingis got up to like 9.5, 10K at salary at certain times because that's how good he was doing. He was averaging like 45, 50 fantasy points a game. Obviously, we haven't seen that yet this year, but I do think he has obviously that ceiling, and he should start picking it up more with Beal off the court. So really like Porzingis, really like Kuzma. Kuzma's a little bit more boomer bust just because he is a little bit more scoring dependent. Not going to do as much peripheral stat wise, but yeah, I really like both of them for their price tags. I do think their elevated price tags are going to scare people away, and we can take advantage of that. Monte Morris, 5,400, looks decent. Don't mind getting to him. Should be, that kind of 23 fantasy points per game. If he's doing well, maybe get you into the 30, 35 plus range, or 30 to 35 range. So don't mind it at 5,400. Goodwin, I think too many people are going to flock to him tomorrow. They're going to see the past two games and see how, well he's done. 33 fantasy points in 26 minutes, and then 33.5 in 21. I don't know if I can trust him being like a 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 fantasy point per minute guy, especially a guy we've never heard of before. 4,700, not the best price tag either for a guy who's kind of limited in minutes, so I don't think you have to chase that. Hachimura, a little too scoring dependent for me, but should play about 20 minutes extended if he's playing better. You can definitely go to him. Does have a little bit of a ceiling if he gets a double-double, but most of the time not going to get you enough rebounds. Will Barton, as I said, alongside Tim Hardaway Jr., going to be my favorite play at 4,100 as those value guys off the bench. Scoring dependent, but as we saw, he can't get you 30+ fantasy points if he's hitting the shots. The rest of the team, Denny, Kispert, Gafford, don't really think you need to go to them unless you think Porzingis is going to get in foul trouble. Then you can run Gafford. Yeah. Moving on to Charlotte and Miami, we have LaMelo Ball still out. Rozier, one of those plays. Price tag will scare people off, but the usage is there. Minutes are there. Shot attempts are there. It just comes down to if he's hitting shots. If he is, I say lock him in at 8,600. Even in a back-to-back, even in this tough matchup, there is a little bit of blowout risk, especially if all the Miami guys play, but some of them are questionable, so we'll have to keep updated on the injury news there. Oubre, Smith, Washington. If I had to pick a guy, I'd say maybe Washington. They all look decent at their price ranges, not really leaning one way or the other. Plumlee, I don't get it. 32 minutes, got extended, was playing very well against Portland, 16, 12, and 4. Maybe that's because he's going up against another backup center in Eubanks, but he's a guy who can go out there and be productive in a small amount of minutes, a limited amount of minutes, so I don't mind him at 5K. Not sure why the price, hasn't moved much. But yeah, don't mind him. Kind of like a Monte Morris play there. McDaniels, if you want to take that, dart throw, coin flip, his minutes are all over the place. Shot attempts are all over the place. More of a defense kind of guy, but you can definitely look to him. 4,800, not the best price tag, but, does have that opportunity and that share or that upside with those minutes. Nick Richards going to play, 15 minutes. Don't think you have to force that unless you think Plumlee's going to get in foul trouble versus Bam. Then maybe you could look to Nick Richards, 4,000. Book Knight, if you think this game's going to blow out, depending on the news that we get on those Miami guys, you can definitely look to him. Could get extended to 30 minutes. Not the best high usage player, but 3,200, maybe the best dart throw on a play on the slate. Miami side, as I said, we had to kind of wait for the injury news because if Hero and Caleb Martin are out, that's obviously going to shift the starting lineup. Jimmy would be a very solid play. Bam would be very good at 7,900. Lowry looks solid at 6,900. Strus would look great at 5,600. But let's just assume they're all in for right now. If they're all in, I think my favorite play would just be Strus, and that's really it. I do think these other guys are, too pricey if they're all playing. Vincent, if, those guys are out, he looks great here, playing, a very good amount of minutes. So yeah, 4,400 looks good on him. Duncan Robinson, scoring independent, but you can definitely take a shot on him if those guys are out. It's just one of those things we kind of have to wait, because then maybe they could start a guy like Highsmith, who comes off the bench, hasn't played much, but maybe he gets into the starting lineup. But yeah, we'll have to wait on the Miami news to get to them. Philadelphia, Atlanta, I like, playing these Philadelphia guys. Embiid looks fantastic against Clint Capella. Maxey, Harris, they are the secondary and third scorers. We know the offense is going to come from Embiid, Maxey, Harris. Obviously, Embiid going to flow through him. Then it's going to go through Maxey, and Harris is going to be that third kind of option. So that's why they're priced that way. I think my favorite play would be getting into Harris, just because he's the cheapest. Still has, has a very solid ceiling at 7,100. But Maxey, very boomer bust. So I don't mind him. I think my favorite play is going to be Tobias Melton. I do like him a good amount at 6,000. You are getting a guy who's going to be playing probably 30 plus minutes. Should shoot the ball more than 7 times. I'd expect him to be in that 10 to 12 shots a game range with Harden still off the floor. So I do like him a good amount at 6,000. Harrell fell out of the rotation. Paul Reed is the backup. Really don't think you need to go to any of these other players on the team. Really think you want to stick to the main 4. Everyone else is just more of a dart throw. Niang going to be 15 to 20 minutes. If he's not hitting the shots, he's going to be terrible. PJ Tucker, I guess you can go there at 3,700. Should see the minutes. It's just he's not really shooting the ball at all. Even if he does, 32 minutes, 6 of 8, 13, 5 and 1, only 22 fantasy points at 3,700. Obviously, that's not going to kill you. That's pretty solid, but I really don't think you need to go to any of those guys on Philly or like the backup guys. Atlanta, Trae Young, DeJounte, they obviously look fantastic. We know we're going to get from them. Do prefer Trae Young just because of how much he shoots. He could go off for like 40, 45 real life points, especially in this matchup against, Tyrese Maxey defense. John Collins looks decent, going against Tobias Harris, who's not the best defender. Do think John Collins can be, he's kind of that X factor on the slate. Price is good. It just comes down to, on the Hawks, we know Trae Young, DeJounte are going to shoot the ball a ton. It's really like who's going to be that third scorer for them. Recently, it's been DeAndre Hunter, who looks decent. He's playing a ton of minutes. Will shoot the ball a good amount. His game from tonight hasn't loaded in yet, but I think he went for like 20, 22 points, real life points. So he's a solid play there at 4,900. But yeah, I think John Collins could be that X factor at 6,300. If he's playing well, should get extended. Maybe look to him more, going against Tobias Harris. But yeah, X factor for me is going to be John Collins. Clint Capella, don't trust him going up against Embiid. If you do, he's had, past 2 out of 3 games, he's gone for like 50 fantasy points. So you can definitely look to him, but really don't trust him going against Embiid. That's just foul trouble waiting to happen. Hunter, as I mentioned, going to be playing those minutes, so he's safe, but he's not a high usage guy. Really need him to hit his shots. Don't really trust anyone else on this team. AJ Griffin should see about 10 minutes a game. He got extended in that kind of blowout against Milwaukee, so don't fall for that trap. Okongwu, I don't mind going to him at 3,600. Should see about 20 minutes in the regular game. If Clint Capella gets in foul trouble, Okongwu will get extended because he's their next big man up. So I do like him a decent amount. Aaron Holiday should see about 10 minutes off the bench. We did see Justin Holiday, excuse me. He got 15 minutes. He's more score independent. Don't think he could force that. Jalen Johnson, we'll see about 15 to 20 minutes. You can definitely look to him. He's done better in those blowouts, but 3,400, guy 15 to 20 minutes. Maybe he's hitting a few shots. You could look to him. And then moving on to Portland and the Pelicans. Another back-to-back for both these teams, so maybe it might not be the best, but Lillard, 9,700. I think he looks great if Nurkic and Grant are out, but if they're both back in, I do think all these guys are kind of priced about right. Damon 9,700 looks okay. Simons at 8,100 looks okay. I do think I'd prefer, out of everyone, my preference would be getting to Nurkic at 7,200 if they're all in. Obviously, if they're out, I think Lillard and Simons look fantastic, and then you could look to a guy like Eubanks again, who was fantastic tonight. Put up 31.5 in 22 minutes. But yeah, we have to wait for that news there. Josh Hart, don't know why Wofford's priced so high. Shaedon Sharp, More boomer bust. Don't think he could do that. Winslow did get the start. He's like a 0.9 fantasy point per minute guy, so I do expect more than obviously 10 fantasy points, but really don't think to chase that. Yeah, you just kind of have to wait for the news there. And then for the Pelicans, Zion, I think he's just priced a little too high for me, 8,800. You know, coming off a few good games. The Bulls double teamed him tonight, so he didn't do too well. But yeah, I don't like that price tag for him. Ingram, the price tag has jumped up a ton. 8,700 looks decent. I feel like their ceilings are all kind of capped, playing alongside each other. If I was to get to someone, I think it'd be CJ, just because he's kind of safe when it comes to, if he is hitting shots, he's still going to choose assists and rebounds. So I think he'd be my favorite out of those big three. J-Val's price looks great. He played 30 minutes. He did close against the Bulls. So going up against Eubanks potentially, or even Nurkic, I do like J-Val a good amount at 7,000. That looks like a great price for him. You know, especially depending on that matchup of who he's going against. Otherwise, you know, I don't really think you need to get to anyone else on this Pelican side. You know, Troy Murphy can't get hot. He's a good shooter. Should see about 25 minutes a game. You can look to him at 4,900. I just don't trust it, especially with all four of their main guys in. Herb Jones, 4,800. You know, he's going to see about 30 minutes. You can definitely look to him at 4,800. I'd prefer him over Murphy. And then the other guys, Jose, don't think he to do at 3,800. They're all going to see about 15 minutes. Or Jose will. Najee will see about like 5 to 10 at most. Graham will see maybe 10, 15 if he's hitting the shots. Don't think he to go there. And yeah, that's really it. You know, Hernan Gomez did get that backup run tonight. I think he got about 12 to 15 minutes. It was pretty solid, but don't think he to go there. And yeah, that really does it. As I said, my favorite plays as of right now. Obviously, there's some news we have to wait for, but I do think Will Barton is going to be one of my favorite value plays. Same thing with Timmy. Really like Dinwiddie as that mid-range play. Love me some Porzingis, and we'll give one more. I really like Tobias Harris. So obviously we have to wait on some injury news, but as of right now, these are kind of the guys I'm looking towards for this game. I don't think I'd play both Timmy and Will Barton. I think I'd play one or the other. And then, yeah, do like Tobias Harris a good amount. Love Porzingis. And then Dinwiddie looks very, very solid. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I'll see you guys in my core play video, which should be out tomorrow morning.